when you think you do but you don't,
Right.
when put out, I feel like that is a thing that people will kind of throw on so many different ideas in World of Warcraft in retail
Yeah.
and in classic now.
Yep.
And do you understand where the you think you do but you don't is coming from? Because I feel like it's something that's been so vilified over time. Like, what do you actually think about how that statement came to be?
Well, first of all, I'm pissed as hell because he stole a line that I wish I could have, had attributed to me, right? Like, I absolutely love that statement. And it's so true when it comes to design elements versus the player base, right? So you're absolutely right in that question. I could see where it was going, but in the case where he used it, it was absolutely terrible, right? Like, and so out of touch and so misinformed, right? But I use that on my stream all the time, because again, I wish I could have been the guy that the face of that meme, right? But because there are a lot of times where it's true, like, and I'll give you a simple example, right? I'll give you a simple example. So I put out the new raid boss, right? And it's hard, right? And it's there to challenge you. And a week later, the player base comes to me in the community and they say, we can't quite do it, right? It's too difficult. And I'll say, my response is basically, well, get good, learn to play, right?
I like it.
It's come back to me in a month. And if no one in the world has done it, then I'll start to look at things, right? Like, but until then, humans have a way of figuring things out, right? So the response you want is not, okay, well, here you go, Timmy, here's all the epics, nice try, here, but like, you didn't really have to actually go and do it, right? You want it to be challenging, but me saying get good just makes you angry, right? Like, that just pisses you off. So I'm the enemy when it comes to, our communication, process, right? So this is a good question for you guys, actually. So what's the appropriate strategy, right, to manage this? Because the strategies in the past, have been, it used to just be, we put a community manager between us, right? And the community manager would listen to your feedback and you'd be like, okay, I'm going to talk to the developers and I'm going to pass along your feedback. And then he'd go to me and I'd say, well, tell them to get good. They suck, right? Like, but then he would come back and he'd say, well, I've voiced your concerns and, we've talked it over and, we're going to continue to look at things. And, he crafts it in a certain way that's palatable or tries to be palatable. But now you're just upset because you want to talk to the guy, you don't want to talk to the community manager. You want to talk to the guy in charge, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's
full Karen at this point. So
the weird conundrum is, right? Like, all of a sudden we're in a place where, of course, anytime a player talks, they want to beat the game, right? Like, that is the relationship. That cocaine logic is going to take over, and they say, give me the loot. And if you allow the player to get that, then all they're doing is clicking the button, and they're just they're just crack rats, just hitting the button over and over and over again. But all of a sudden, instead of having a developer who can say, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to allow people to just run rampant with cocaine logic is something that you have to think about all of the time when you're making games, right? But you have to create a bigger and bigger gap between the crack and the player. And that's what the game is. That's the system that you create. You don't want it to just be a button that you're pushing. Right. But now we have a bunch of very loud voices who every single time something gets implemented, fuck, dude, this shit's fucking shit, bro. Dude, what the fuck is that, dude?
And you have a direct access to the developer behind it, right? Like, and he wants, at the end of the day, he wants to make you happy, but his goal actually more coincides with you being pissed at him than making you happy, right? So, it's like any parent, playing a game with their kid, like, everyone out is yelling, oh, let him win one, and and the parent's like, hell no, I'm gonna toughen this kid up so when the real world comes along, right, he's not a giant pussy.
Prepare them out. That's right. Exactly.
So but the kid hates the adult, he's just like, god damn it, I just want to win one, right? So his goal is bigger than making that kid happy every second. His goal, right, is to prepare him, to challenge him, and to make him feel like he's accomplished, and to go through the process, right, of learning what failure tastes like, learning what success tastes like, and everything in between. So, it's a tough place to be, and it's a tough place to be in the spotlight. So again, like the question that always comes up to me is, what's the right strategy, for developers to interact with the community in a way that doesn't always lead to the place it's going to lead to, which is the community hates the developers.
I think that there's a number of like really good examples of developers doing this and it working relatively well. I mean, if you look at something like Grinding Gear Games, I don't know how familiar you are with Path of Exile, but I think they have a generally positive communication and a generally positive relationship with their community. And I think that for WoW, I think that the main problem is that a lot of the things, whenever Blizzard releases like kind of information about the game, it always feels like it feels like Blizzard's like the government and we're the people. And it feels like a certain amount of like push and pull, where realistically you should have the same goals. You want to make the game better, and then Blizzard wants to make the game better, and you work together. And so I've tried to, at least in my stream, right? I can't speak for everybody, but I've tried to be like more productive in terms of the way that I try to interact with developers and stuff like that. And I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I remember whenever Holinka was the lead of PvP in Warlords of Draenor, oh my God. Like that guy, like he's dropped out of the public life. He came back and he has like, he's got a 6-pack now. He's working out and he is completely above that shit. Yeah, he's tired of that. And so, it's terrible the way developers are put in the crossfire for that, because you're completely right. I mean, if you have people like, I talked about this in my second stream last night even, if you have people that are constantly coming at you and telling you that the thing that you've spent the last 8 months working on is complete trash, it's going to affect you. And it's really hard to do that and make sure that you're giving constructive feedback, and then also reconcile that with just the people that are just being emotional. And
their skill set is not, their skill set is to make systems, right? Their skill set is not to manage thousands or millions of people emotionally. And like like they say it takes you to be a game designer, you have to be like part psychologist and everything else. And I've had some psychology, schooling, but there's still, I mean, we're human beings, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, we want people to be happy. We want to bring joy to the world, right? And when we make a thing and suddenly there's a million people out there saying you're human garbage and the things you make are trash,
doesn't feel good.
Seems like things are going wrong.
Well, it's so here is the landscape that we are in right now. You listen to the players who only want rewards for absolutely nothing, which is what they're saying. It's not what they actually want in a lot of ways, but it's what they're trying to do. And then all of a sudden you get war fronts where you actually can't lose. All you do is kind of stand in there and they throw loot at you.
Let's not mislead Kevin here. You can lose, Kevin. You have to have all 20 people coordinating, standing in one spot and doing absolutely nothing for 45 minutes. And
we found a way.
And then
we did it.
You will lose.
Humanity at its finest.
Yeah, it's actually possible.
Like that is the type of system that people will say that they actually want, though, over time. And then on the other hand, covenants get added in. And community perception right now is this is the thing that is going to destroy Shadowlands.
Right.
Where does the developer, like, if you were in their shoes right now and you had a situation like this, what would you do?
Yeah. So this is the game we'll play, right? You guys will be the community and I'll be the developer, right? And and this is the other big thing we talked about it last week on the show, is like the developer's job is to translate what you guys are saying into what you actually want out of the game.